and welcome. You are listening to At Home with Ifenu. Here, we'll talk about helping women know and understand their worth, find fulfillment in who they are, and in what they do. Every other week, we'll talk about your identity as a woman, discovering your unique purpose, intentionally raising the next generation, and your influence in homemaking. I am your host, Ifoma Nneka Omoni. Hello, and welcome to another exciting and inspiring time on At Home with Ifenu. What have you been up to? Wow, the days are running so fast, or is it just me? The year is already halfway gone. How have we been applying the knowledge we've been getting on this platform? You know, knowledge is not profitable until you put it to use. There is a saying that goes this way: if you don't use it, you lose it. So all that we have been sharing on these platforms, the nuggets, the principles, the tips and practices that we encourage ourselves on this platform, we have to use them. We have to deliberately and intentionally put them into use so that we are not just speaking and just hearing, but we are putting it into action. So today, we're going to be having another opportunity to gain value, to gain knowledge, to gain instructions that we can put into use for our lives to be better. And our focus for today is titled, Little is Much. Little is much. God has given every one of us abilities, gifts or talents. There's a story in the Bible about a master who gave some of his servants, different amount of money. He gave one $3,000 or whatever denomination of currency you want to talk about. He gave another 3, he gave one 5, and he gave another one 1. But one thing that struck me in that story was that the master gave everybody the different quantity of money or the responsibilities based on their abilities. So what is that thing you are looking at that looks little? You might see it as little, but maybe God has given that thing to you based on what He believes you can bring out, your ability. So there's no need for any one of us to compare ourselves with our friends, our siblings, the next person, in the office, because every one of us is unique. Every one of us has been given abilities, talents that is unique to us. And if we work at it, no matter how little it looks, it becomes much, especially when we do it with the right motive. So there are many people that feel that, I don't know how to, maybe I can't do what Ifeno is doing today, but it doesn't really matter, because our lives are uniquely interwoven with each other. And that thing that you think is so little, that is insignificant, do you know that is tied to the lives of many people? Our lives are not just about ourselves. Our lives are tied to people. So if there is something you are supposed to be doing and you are not doing it, always have it at the back of your mind that many lives are tied to that little thing you are looking down on, and their lives can either be blessed or they can be deprived because you are not using what you have been given. Remember, we said at the beginning that if you don't use what you have, you will end up losing it. Many of us don't understand that the little we have, that until we use it continuously, intentionally, and use it excellently well, it grows. It's just like a seed that is planted. You never know how that seed will turn out to be a forest, but until you plant the seed, until you make an effort, until you intentionally do what is required with your little, it never becomes much. Always remember that no one is useless, no one is without value. We all have something to give to our world. I also want to use the story of another person in the Bible, Elisha and the widow who had 2 sons. Her husband had died, and they were owing people. And people came and they wanted to take her sons away because the husband owed a lot of money, and she was like, she doesn't know what to do. In summary, Elisha got to a point where he asked this widow, "What do you have?" And the widow said, "I don't have anything. It's just a little jar." She actually used that word. "I just have a little jar of oil." And Elisha now told her that she should get vessels, get containers, get things that she can fill up. And he prayed over the oil and told the woman that she should lock herself up in her room and begin to pour the oil into those containers. Now, in that story, we can use that story to buttress our focus for today, that little is much. The woman said, initially she said, "I have nothing," but it's just a little jar of oil. She looked at the oil as little, but until she took action, followed the instructions of Elisha, that oil would have remained in that little jar. So as she poured, she got containers from her neighbors, from people around her, and she followed the instruction and started pouring the oil into those containers. As long as she kept pouring the oil into the containers, the oil never stopped flowing. What does that mean in our lives? As long as we keep using the gifts, the talent, the thing that we see as little, as long as we keep using it, improving on it, looking for how to grow in it, it will expand, it will explode beyond our imagination, and it will be a blessing to others. Because this widow, when the oil stopped, she was asked to, go and sell the oil, pay her debt, and live on the remaining one. So it didn't just end with that jar of oil. There was a multiplication, and it wouldn't have multiplied if she just kept it saying, "There's nothing, it's insignificant." So what is that gift? What is that talent? What is that thing that you are doing and you feel is little? I would like to encourage many of us that stay at home moms. Yes. You think what you are doing is little, taking care of those children, particularly that they are still at a tender age. You are doing something enormous. Just imagine that, your children maybe come back from school and the house is unkept and there's no food to eat. Even your husband will be like, "What's happening?" And that thing you are doing is usually seen as insignificant, not something really important. It's important. Every one of us have something to offer, and the big things will not come if we are not faithful in the little things. So what is that thing that you are looking down on today? It's a wake-up call. It's much, because when you work at it, when you use it and do it joyfully, whatever it is, it has a way of touching the lives of others. And God is a faithful rewarder. He doesn't owe any one of us. If we are diligent, if we don't give up on that little contribution we think we are making, He will use it to bless people, bless you beyond your imagination. So faithfulness in little things will produce great results if you do not easily give up. Remember, if you do not easily give up, that's where many of us fail. And if you focus on God, because many times our focus is on maybe the people we are serving. Maybe we expect compliments that are not coming to us, or we don't get the rewards as we expect, or we think it's taking too long for us to see the rewards of what we are doing. I'm here to encourage you. not to give up on that your little, because that your little is so much. I would just like to share 3 things that will help us keep ourselves in check, so that we don't look down on what we have been given, so that we don't look down on our days of little beginnings. The first thing is mindset. Mindset. The scripture says that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. How do you think about yourself? What you think about is what will shape your mindset. So you need to keep a positive mindset for you not to look at what you have, what God has given you, what your Creator has given you, your abilities, your talents, as small, as insignificant. Have a positive and right mindset. The second thing is our motives. This is very big in God's sight. Why do you do what you do? Why do you do what you do? When we have the right motives in the things we do, then we will not look down on that little. When we are not looking for people to applaud us, when we are not looking for the rewards from men necessarily, then our motives will be pure. Then we will not give up easily, even when what we are doing hasn't started yielding results. So we need the right mindset, and we need a very good motive. We must keep God as our focus and the center of what we are doing. Then the third one is consistency. You know, you can start a thing, you can begin something, but the big issue about whatever we start is our consistency. Consistency has to do with the discipline to keep showing up at what we have decided to do, or at what we believe that as we keep doing it is going to be a blessing to our world, even when we don't see the reward immediately. You show up even when nobody is seeing you. You know, many of us think that it is when people see us that we are doing something significant. No, you might be doing something that is behind the scene. You might be in a job or a group where people hardly notice your effort. But I've come here to tell you that there's someone bigger than all the people that might be watching you, and that is God. He sees in the secret place. God has a very big picture in his mind and in his heart, and your very little part in that big picture is very significant. So always remember that you need to keep the right mindset, M. You need to have a pure motive, another M, and you need to be consistent. The discipline to keep showing up, consistency, the power that enables you to keep at it even when you don't see the results immediately. Don't despise your days of little beginnings, because God will multiply that little. When he sees how faithful you are in the small things, then he will give you more. He will bring the big things. And that was what happened in that story of that master that gave different talents to people. He ended up giving the one that had more talents more, because he worked at it. He used it to be a blessing. Never allow low self-esteem or lack of confidence to discourage you. You know, many times we talk about self-confidence and even this self-esteem. I've come to give you an upgrade of that. Have God confidence and have the God esteem. And when you have the God confidence, you know that God is backing what you are doing. You are sure that he has sent you to do what you are doing. Then you will not be discouraged, because your little matters a lot. Always remember that you don't need to be at the center stage. You don't need to be seen. Even behind the scene, your little is actually much. So my encouragement for you is have the right mindset. Remember to have a pure motive and be consistent. Show up even when nobody sees. Show up even when they don't applaud you. Remember that your part is very, very significant, because many lives are tied to your little. And when you are faithful in little, God will give you more. And even when people see that you are very good at what you do, that you do the little you do excellently well, you will be given much more responsibilities, much more assignments that will bring great reward. Would you make up your mind today to use what you have? Your little is truly much. Thanks for joining us this week on At Home with Ifeno. Check us out on Instagram at Ifeno17. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. See you next in 2 weeks' time.